This is Dan Jurgens, and if you want to have a good time, keep listening to the Krypton Report.
Hey everyone, Tyler here to let you know that Southgate Media Group has a Patreon. That's right. Starting at just $5 a month, you get extra content for all your favorite podcasts on the network. You can listen to Patreon-exclusive shows like This Week in Geek, hear interviews with the podcasters of the network. So just go to www.patreon.com/Southgate Media Group. We are constantly releasing exciting and new things.
It's a bird. It's a plane. It's Superman.
Jason J. Lewis, the voice of Superman on Justice League Action. This is Mark Wade, writer of Superman Birthright, and you're listening to
the All Things Kryptonian podcast, including Superman and Supergirl.
We discuss games, movies, cartoons, TV shows, and comics.
Find us on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and Twitter.
Hey everybody, today's episode is the audio brought to you from my interview with Jason J. Lewis, part Super Friends Celebration. So we're going to get right into it. You can always check out the video on our YouTube, and I hope you enjoy. All right, here we go. All right, hey, welcome back. I'm Tyler, host of the Krypton Report podcast. I'm bringing with you Jason J. Lewis, the voice of Superman from Justice League Action. And we thought he's working right now. He's taking some time out to talk with us. So
yeah, I was fortunate enough that my break worked out the way it did. So
hey, we appreciate it. It's always nice to get the chat, and you and I have chatted before. We did an episode of the podcast about 2 years ago. I think I can't keep track of time anymore. Like I can't.
It's been that long. It's crazy.
Well, something the other day my friend said, and I was like, "Yeah, that was in 2019." Wow. I'm like, wow. So.
When you say it like that, it feels a lot longer.
yeah, it does. But it's good to see. Last time we just did audio, so it's nice to do the video with you.
Thanks. I'm feeling a little rough today. I apologize. Driving early this morning, so I'm a little tired. But
you're perfectly fine. Perfectly fine. Looking sharp as always. But
thank you.
You're welcome. So let's just we'll make it quick. But I said this to you when we did the podcast. And my wife, she's not here right now, but she'd back me up on this. We watched Justice League Action with the kids. That was a great cartoon that came out. My son was 1, and of course we bought the series, and we've watched it with both of them. My daughter loves it. It has the wonderful ability that has an episode with Stargirl and Supergirl.
Hang on 1 second. Yeah.
Oh, you're fine.
Hang on 1 second. Sorry. Hang on 1 second. Let me just check on.
Oh, you're fine. Yeah. For anyone who doesn't know, Justice League Action was on Cartoon Network. It was a new Justice League cartoon that had all of our favorites, and it was in that kind of model of 10-minute episodes. And Jason did several of the voices on it, Superman being one. It had the Kevin Conroy as Batman, along with a whole new voice cast in different areas, but it also had familiars like Mark Hamill was the Joker. And sadly, Justice League Action was only received 1 season, or how animation works, where you have different episodes where they stretch it out. And it was streaming for a while on Hulu, but I think currently it's not streaming. I'll double check while we're here live. But it's a great show to check out, and I recommend it because it was really fun. There's a Christmas special that me and the children watch every year. There's a Halloween episode that the children and I watch every year. And it was a nice, fresh perspective of just, it wasn't the high end like a lot of the Bruce Timm stuff, but it wasn't the low Teen Titans Go. It had a nice blend that made it refreshing and fun for anyone of the family. So we'll check right here. It's still on Hulu. It's saying that it's streaming on Hulu, so that's nice. So if anyone's out there and is not familiar with the show, because it felt like the show kind of came and went before anyone knew it happened. I know that the kids and I were going to Walmart and Target to look for the toys, and we were fortunate enough to get a couple, but they were gone before anyone really knew what was going on. And that's sad because, as if anyone's listened to the podcast before, know that I have a big desire for DC to bring back some sort of cartoon that is a higher caliber for kids. Young Justice Season 3 was more adult based. Teen Titans Go and DC Superhero Girls are very juvenile shows, and my daughter loves the DC Superhero Girls, which is fine, but I'd like something that's for everybody. We've been rewatching the Justice League from the early 2000s recently, and we've been watching Justice League Action, as well as the first 2 seasons of Young Justice, which was definitely more in that vein of For Everybody. Now, I know Jason's busy, so I'm continue talking. We'll get him back here, and that's life, you know. It's a live show. He's working. He was fortunate enough to take his break and talk with us. So if you're wondering what we're doing, we're raising money for the Actors Fund. And so throw us a comment if you have any questions. Oh, you're fine. I was just filling everybody in who's watching who may have not been familiar with the show and how, you know, Justice League Action was a fun show and, you know, a higher caliber cartoon than Teen Titans Go, but not so much.
Hey,
there's Luke.
I owe him a podcast as well.
He's a good guy. So, Jason, we'll jump in here. Tell us a little bit about the audition process, if you knew that it was for Superman, if it was just a voice gig. So just kind of fill us in how that started for you.
Yeah, I remember the audition came, I think it was like October of 2014. And it was, you know, very clearly it was Superman. I mean, it wasn't quite as, you know, NDA at that time. They weren't disguising. Now it's like they don't even tell you what the project is. They'll give you different names, different dialogue. They don't even give you a script. But then it was really cool because they gave us at least a little bit of a script and some context, and they let us read for as many parts as we felt right for. So I actually read for Superman and Batman and the Joker because they were like, we're not saying we're going to recast everybody, but we just want to be open to new reads and new interpretations and things like that. So I just did whatever, you know, I sent it all in. And we got the call that we'd be doing the pilot in November of 2014. And so I was very excited about that because my agent was like, look, this is a pilot. They're going to kind of test it out, see how it feels, see if it's going to be a go. And then it would start recording early 2015. Great. you know? Yeah. And so that was, in like late October. They said that they were going to record week of October 20th. I remember this distinctly, and that kind of came and went. I didn't hear anything. So I was like, okay, well, whatever, you know, but then literally the week later, they were like, okay, so they want to hear you for Superman. I was like, what? I was like, that's insane. Cause I was like, how is that even possible? Given the fact that I just know there's so many people who've done that voice and a great number of great actors. So I was just really kind of like, is this for real? And, you know, my agent was like, yeah. So I went in and recorded the pilot, and it was, Wes Gleason. He was the director, who's doing a lot of the DC, direct to video stuff now, as well as some other animated series content. He was nothing but awesome and complimentary and just really like, hey man, you were in heavy contention for several roles at the time with your auditions. And I was like, that's really awesome. No, I'm very flattered by that. But we all agreed you were Superman. And I was like, well, thank you. And so, we recorded the pilot, and, you know, I didn't, and that was, with Rachel. That was where I first met Rachel, who was Wonder Woman as well. And we were both kind of stunned because we were among some veteran company in the pilot even. And then we were, we waited. And then in February, I got a call or I got an email, and they're like, okay, we're going to start recording for the whole year, clear your schedule. Like, here are the 3-week blocks of time. I was like, this is insane. And I was expecting this to kind of really be like a huge launch and a really like, big platform for me. And being animated, I didn't realize how long that wait time to do stuff would be, because it really wasn't for another almost 2.5 years that really the series kind of became, in popular culture at all.
December of 2016, was it? Like, I felt like
that was the premiere.
Yeah.
And it was December 2016, and that was a super exciting week. And then it played throughout most of 2017 into 2018, because the way Cartoon Network decided to spread it out was bizarre.
Yeah.
And we had initially recorded it as 52 episodes to be played as back-to-back in a half an hour. Mm-hmm. And that would equal a 26 episode order for a regular season, if in television terms, if anyone's familiar with that. And so with the children's content or younger content at the time, they were breaking it up into smaller episodes so they could get more content and do things. That was great. It didn't matter to me. I was excited. Yeah. But what they did was really weird. When they aired it, they aired the pilot, which was like a 4-episode thing that wound up being about an hour. And then that was really exciting. But then they kind of put it at a weird time, like Saturday mornings at 7 a.m., you know, and it was only one episode. And so it was only this weird 15-minute episode on Saturday mornings. And so, no, it never really caught the traction that I think it deserved and really was. So it was just weird, you know.
I totally agree. And I just, it was one of those shows like, you know, I bought this. I watched the pilot. I enjoyed it. I bought the season. So it was always dropping in my, you know, my Apple. And it feels like so much stuff gets lost because of this, you know, because the weird times. And then, you know, I checked while you were taking your quick break, like it is still streaming on Hulu. It says it's on Hulu, and I'll double check. And I feel like the shows are getting second life on these streaming platforms, you know. And it's just kind of sad because the show is great. You know, my kids love it because it has all the characters. You know, it's fun. It's something that I watch and can enjoy with them. And I just feel like it never got its due. Like the toys were gone before I felt the show really got traction. Well, and it's like the forgotten series.
Well, and I feel like it has a similar fate to the Beware the Batman series. I think that was what it was called. That was, I also auditioned for that too. I remember when that was coming around, I thought, oh wow, this would be so exciting. And it was fascinating. And it's all up to, you know, it really kind of is Cartoon Network's, I kind of, you know, hand them that baton and say, look, it was really their planning and the way they scheduled it that I think kind of just made it hard for anyone to follow. But then we're also living in a time where it was, you know, the streaming services were just really starting to pick up at that point. So I think everyone began rethinking how they distribute content, and especially Time Warner at that time. You know, DC Universe kind of came and went, but I know that there was even talk at the time. This was like a year or two before DC Universe was announced. And, you know, even the producer at the time was, you know, saying like, hey, you know, if this doesn't continue, it will have life in some other form. It's just we don't know exactly how that's going to look. And so, but, you know, it never got picked up because I think Cartoon Network has the rights to it. I'm not entirely sure. It's above my pay grade, and sadly.
It's weird because that's one of the shows that I wish had gotten on either DC Universe or now on HBO Max. You know, it's sitting over on Hulu.
Yeah, it's weird. Yeah.
And they're bringing all this DC stuff together. And I'm like, this is one of your shows that if you brought it over here, you would have second life.
I actually think I agree with you on that. And I think it's just one of those things where it's a matter of time. I think it's a matter of time before it eventually ends there. I mean, we see Beware the Batman's on there and, you know, some of the other stuff that, you know, had a similar experience. And people are getting to experience those series as well. So, but I think what really helped us were the shorts that we did that went on YouTube directly.
That was something I was going to bring up. Yeah.
Yeah. Those really helped it get out into the zeitgeist a little bit more. And once people saw those, they're like, what's this show? This is really funny and very clever. And the shorts were brilliant. And I think that's what turned people on because they were like, this is a different brand of DC than we've seen. And it was refreshing.
You know, it kind of reminded me a little bit how they did the Batman Unlimited kind of boggled my mind because they did shorts on YouTube and then they released like 3 movies and they had all these toys. You know, with you guys, you're like, hey, we're doing shorts on YouTube and then episodes.
Yeah.
But no one knew about the episodes. And it's heartbreaking because like I was saying, I really found your Superman voice to be awesome. Like,
thank you. Yeah.
It's refreshing and new enough, but has its own stamp to it. And, you know, my wife and I were listening and talking about stuff preparing for today. And we watched a video that's on YouTube of yours where it has all the different voices you did for the show.
Oh, yeah. Thank you. Yeah, I put that together because I feel like people should know I got the opportunity to do a lot of fun things in that show. So
and it was really cool to see that. And, you know, your Superman voice it's classic, but it has a new take. And I feel like you've just kind of gotten lost in the shuffle. You know, we see a lot of people come and go, like with the animated films where they're like, okay, we'll do this person for a one-off. And I felt like, man, you deserve another chance at voicing the character in something else. Because it is a great Superman voice.
Thanks.
Oh, you're welcome. I'm telling the truth because that's what I do. Truth and truth, right?
I never lie.
So you mentioned that when you walked in, you had seasoned talent. Did you know that like Kevin and Mark were cast
at that time? It was different. Kristen, I'll answer that in a minute. Don't worry. And yes, Luke, don't worry. I'll maybe at the end here I'll tease it. So yeah, the pilot, I'll refrain from sharing that because I don't want anyone to feel bad, about we didn't work, because they're all great talents and they're all doing. But no, at that time, no, I didn't know Kevin or Mark were involved, and it was two very different people cast in both of those roles at the time. And so when I came back to do the series, though, the day I walked in, it was I walked in and Wes is like, "Hey, Jason's here, Superman's here, it's great." And I'm like, "Yeah," and I'm like jazzed, and he's like, "We're waiting for our Batman, Kevin Conroy, and he'll be here." And I was like, "What? Wait, what happened?" And I just really had to stop. I was like, "Wait," he's like, "Oh yeah, they decided to go and bring him back." And I was like, "Oh, okay." And so I had to kind of walk out of the room and be like, "This is a very different experience now." So
yeah, because it's a very mashup of the two generations of like, you have you and Rachel is like the new, and then you have Kevin. Like if you look at the DC Trinity, like the old sizzled, grizzled man, and then the two young, fresh people coming in. So
it was really cool to see Rachel and I make that cut, because I think that really meant a lot to me, because of how much I valued my work in that show, and I really credit Wes for really being a good defender of our work. Wes really does try to find new talent for things. And it was really awesome that he was able to do that. I don't know that it would have happened now, because there are so many celebrities that they want now for things, because silly things like Instagram followers and stuff, and they think that has some bearing on viewership. I just think that that's kind of not true. Like, I don't see the correlation there.
I agree.
But they seem to think there's data to back that up.
Well, I have my fingers crossed that you'll get to appear as Superman on an episode of What's New Scooby-Doo, at least, because we saw Rachel show up as Wonder Woman.
I know. Yeah,
so
I'm
like,
I heard she did that, and I was a little like, oh, I was like, man.
You're like,
if nothing
who
else,
else?
I want to work with Dietrich again, because he was just a freaking blast to work with, Dietrich Bader. And I remember there were many sessions where it was me, Rachel, and Dietrich, and no one else, because it was scheduling and stuff. But we would just have great conversations in there about stuff, and he was just so welcoming and so nice and so encouraging, being kind of our first rodeo with that level of people. And Mark was the same way too, because even though I only saw Mark a few times, like he was always like just super jazzed that we were there, and like really liking it. It was just a weird feeling to have all these veterans like rooting for you. And but it was great. It was really great. And I hope that will happen again, because it's a character that I truly still love and embody and want to like do my best to represent in a positive light. And I think I really feel like my interpretation deserves some other angles. I've read for a couple other DC things, and I haven't had anything come to fruition. It's okay. I try not to take it personally, but it's just kind of a bummer, because I miss working with.
I mean, that would make sense, having that close knit relationship with those people, and then not getting to. And then Dietrich was actually part of the event Friday night. He was on Friday night. Yeah,
that's awesome. I'm glad he got to do this. That's great, because I tell you, man, his booster was, he kind of stole the show. Between him and PJ is Firestorm. They really they just wrote episode after episode featuring those guys. Oh, and then Plastic Man too. They just really had a lot of fun with those characters, and it was great. I loved playing around them.
We've said it a lot. The show is awesome. It is so much fun, and the characters, you get to experience a lot. Now, you've also done live action work. Is there any certain live action thing that you'd like to kind of talk about? I was looking over some of your roles and things, and I saw you had actually directed a animated film as well.
Yeah, it was kind of an interesting experience. It was a voice directing. It wasn't a full direction, because we were taking it from Indonesia and we were translating it into English. And it was an opportunity that a friend of mine had, and he was like, "Look, we've got this animated film. do you know, like, because they were like, I think they were in over their head. They were like, they do features, and they're like, well, we got this thing as part of a deal, and we don't really know what to do with it. We know we need to dub it into English. Where do you do that? And so I just began kind of consulting them like off the cuff, and I said, well, you need to find a studio. You got to get this and this, and you got to like, cast some good English talent. And I said, I could direct it for you. And they're like, would you? And I was like, yeah. I'm like, okay, great. And so it was just like that fast where I just being able to do that. And it's supposed to be part of a bit of a franchise, but I don't know what's going to happen with that. I know it's had some play overseas, and the ironic thing is that I think they showed it at Cannes Film Festival in France, and so I was like, wow, that's really, and Italy too. It was an Italy film. So that was exciting to do that, and honestly, I would totally do that again. But I will say, everything I was doing in that booth, when I was directing, I learned from the extensive work that I did on the show and from Wes. And just hearing the way Wes directed and the way he was just like, I love it because he knows how to talk to actors in a way that doesn't make them feel self-conscious or that they're messing up the lines. Because it's so easy for us to do because we're around big talent, we're around important people, and we want to look good. But he never makes the actor look bad. He always, like, even if they're really having a hard time, like I watched him in a session once with an actor where, voiceover wasn't his thing. And, we had to do several takes of the line. And it was interesting to watch because I knew from my experience, I could tell Wes was really trying to get a certain performance from him. And he just really was patient with him and worked with him until he got what he wanted. And the actor kind of like figured it out. But it was really, really interesting to watch. And that's the mark of a really great director, when he's not just sitting there giving line reading. He's really trying to help the actor tap into their creative juices. And I really appreciated that about it. We've done several other projects since. And he's called me up a couple times for things very, very small little. There's another one that I can't say what it is, but I have a couple of small parts in an upcoming straight to video DC. I think in the next year or so, that Wes is directing. So it's very exciting about that. But and it was good to be able to work with him. So, again on that.
Well, we'll keep our eyes on your Twitter and everything to see when those are released, so we know what they are. Do you prefer to do voice acting over like live action, or do you prefer the directing angle that you were discussing?
I honestly, for me, whether I'm acting, behind a mic or in front of a camera or, on a stage, to me, it's all acting. A lot of people on the other side of things, like on producers and cast directors, for some reason in their mind, it's very, very different. They're like, well, you're a voice actor. You're this. No, to me, I'm an actor, and I will take my technique and put it behind a microphone, or I'll put it in front of a camera, or I'll put it on stage. And there are different approaches, but it's all kind of the same craft. And so to me, I just get jazzed doing it whenever I can, whenever I can get paid for it. But I just, what was really exciting is right before COVID, in November of 2019, I wound up getting a whole new management team with Terry Snell and Talent Inc. And Carmi Green, and it was just a really exciting thing because they're a pretty good management company, and it was for on camera stuff. And so because I had spent after I knew Justice League Action wasn't going to get picked up in October of 2018, I kind of sat down and said, okay, I just got to reboot, I got to rebrand, and I want to get back into on camera. And I just, I got to do the whole thing. I put all my focus in voiceover for the last few years, and that's fine. But now I know I have more to me than that. So I want to get back into the on camera game a little bit more seriously. And so that's what I did. And within the year, I had new shots, I had a manager, I had a commercial agent, and it was like this really amazing thing where I made a plan and I kind of walked it out, and it worked. And I was like, that felt really good. And then COVID hit. And so, and it was really exciting because like my very first audition, I think, was some Disney pilot, where I was auditioning for a dad. And it was really great to feel like, hey, these are the kind of opportunities. And I just had another on-camera audition for a really big series for HBO. So I'm hoping that those kind of things will continue to happen, because to me, it's all the same. And right now during COVID, I started working for doing some radio stuff. So radio has been kind of a new area for doing radio commercials, producing and creating those for clients. And that's been actually really exciting.
That sounds exciting. I know we're short on time. I was going to ask, is there anything that you've done that you recommend that we could see you in live action acting, like any movie or anything that you recommend that we could check out?
Well, the few live action things I've done, there's a film I did with Dante Bosco called Sightings, and it was a really different take on the Bigfoot legend. It has a definite B movie feel. All right, way to go!
All right, for the Actors Fund.
That's awesome, man. It was called Sightings, and it was a really exciting movie to kind of take a different spin on the Bigfoot legend. And I played kind of like the character from like Dewey from Scream. It was a little bit like the small town sheriff kind of thing. So it was really fun to do that character. And the director and actor, the writer and director was a friend of mine. He's like, I have you in mind for this thing. And we did the reading in 2012. And I think it was 2015 when he's like, okay, we're ready to shoot. We're going to fly out to Austin. And I was like, okay. I didn't even know that was still in the East. It's just, there's so many things like that happen in LA where you're just like reading for different things and doing different things. And sometimes it materializes and sometimes, you never hear about it again. So you just never know what to do. So be open to it all. That's
exciting. It's exciting because it's, we have the opportunity to hear your voice, and sometimes it's just nice to kind of, you're doing the live action too. Could you say something in your Superman voice for us? You can pick whatever you want to say.
Everyone, it's time for you to go get your vaccines. If you haven't, be a friend and get your vaccines.
There we go. From Superman himself. It's awesome. It's awesome.
I had a request earlier. Where was it? Oh, yeah.
Here we go.
The donkey voice. Well, that's fine. Of course, don't forget. I won't forget that. All right. If you want, you can also check it out on DreamWorks TV for what's called Swamp Talk with Shrek and Donkey. So that's another series I voiced with them. And actually, it was motion capture as well. So.
Okay, that I would like to see. Like the just you doing the voice in the mocap.
Yeah, it was me and Michael Goff from Gears of War. He and I, he was Shrek, I was Donkey, and we would physically be in the same room, motion capture, and then I got you, Luke. And then we would be acting it out, and some of the previs stuff is truly fascinating. So I recommend checking that out. I got to go. I hate to be.
Thank you. No, you're fine.
Actor, but I do have to go. So, but you guys have been awesome, and I'm glad you raised some money. And as always, it's great to talk to you. So.
Great talking to you. Thank you for doing this. I know it's kind of like a last minute thing we kind of pitched at you, so I appreciate it, man.
Awesome, man. Talk to you guys soon. Okay.
All right, buddy. Bye.
All right, man. Bye.
All right, everybody. So that was Jason J. Lewis, the voice of Superman from Justice League Action. And like I had said before, I feel like Jason sometimes gets forgotten for his work as Superman because, the show didn't get the chance. So do you enjoy listening to Southgate Group podcasts? Well, I know I do. And do you want to help support this show? Well, the great way is you can help support shows without having to give any more money. Just go to southgatemediagroup.com. There's a link at the top to log into Amazon. Just log into your Amazon account, shop like normal, and part of everything that you buy goes back to help Southgate. It's simple, and you're just doing the same thing that you do by buying stuff on Amazon. Hey, it's Tyler. I just wanted to say, if you're enjoying the Superman podcast, check out some of our other favorite Superman-based podcasts. We have The Inspiring Kryptonian, The Last Sons of Krypton, a new one that I discovered called Digging for Kryptonite, which is a great podcast, as well as my good friend Zach over at Always Hold On to Smallville, Luke, Bug, the Geek of Steel podcast, and of course my brother from another mother, Mr. Phil Parrish, over on Capes and Lunatics, who is the master of all things podcast. So just check those out.